Okay, so back at it, making the drawer. As you know, I already got my drawer face made. What I did is I cut my two sides and the back. So the way I figure is my sides are going to be in a 1/2 inch on either side to compensate for my soft glide slides, drawer slides. Since this face is in the opening, I need a position so that the slides can be hidden, and yet my face is not going to show anything behind it. So I compensated a 1/2 inch on each side. With my back is on the inside of the two side rails. So what I did is this is 19.5. I went 18.5 minus 2 thicknesses of the sides. So I set up my miter saw at 18.5, and then I placed a double thickness of the wood and cut my piece to correct size. That is very helpful when you're dealing with plywood, which isn't exactly 3/4 of an inch. I have the control with my planer to make 3/4, but when it's plywood, it could be slightly under. So in order to get your measurement correct, you use the thickness of the plywood doubled up to get your correct width, so you compensate it properly. So what I'm going to do now is I marked the front pieces for pocket holes on the front to screw into the face on both of these. Also on the back, I'm going to have 2 pocket holes on each side. That's never going to be seen because the drawer will be hidden. Now what I am doing is I'm setting up a 1/4 inch router bit on my table, and I'll bring you closer. So I am gonna cut a groove on my side rails here, about 3/8 of an inch up. I'm gonna cut a 1/4 inch groove for a bottom, a 1/4 inch plywood bottom to my drawer. I'm going to do that on the 2 side rails and also on the face. On the back side of the face, I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch groove. That way my bottom will slide in on the side rails and into the front, and on the back piece I'm going to take off the 3/8 of an inch so that I can slide the bottom in and then tack it in place to the bottom of this. That way it won't move. It'll be removable if ever needed, but it'll be good solid drawer, so I don't see any future where the bottom has to be replaced. I prefer a plywood bottom as opposed to an MDF or such. Bottom, you'll see it when you open the drawer, but it's usually covered with whatever's in the drawer. So that's what I'm setting up right now. I'll set up my fence so that I have a nice straight edge to slide my wood through to get a good even cut. I'm going to go 3/8 of an inch deep on a 3/4 inch piece of wood so I have a good seat. I will practice on a test piece first, just to make sure I got the cut right. So I am setting up my 1/4 inch bit as we speak. Now I have this Craig depth gauge, so I can set the depth of my cut. As you can see, I got a 3-inch height here, I got a 3-inch depth there, and same with the top. So it's a good gauge. It beats trying to use a measuring tape. You just lower it until you get just an edge catching. And you'll have your, right now I'm catching, back off just a little. That gives me 3/8 of an inch. Lock it in place, good to go. Now, I need to set my fence up so that I have a 3/8 that gives me a 3/8 depth, but I want to be I believe I want, I'm going to go 3/8 in, so I'm going to close my backing so that I got minimum exposure. And I want to be 3/8 let's go a little deeper. There we go. All right, so I want the height of the cutter to be at 3/8, which will give me a 1/4 inch space under it, which I think will be good. Let me tighten that down. Of course, I will do a test piece. Just see if that is exactly what I want, and I'll adjust accordingly if I don't like it. I will use dust collection on this. Drawers are a little more, takes a little more effort, but it's all part of the process. So I'm gonna, yep. So there you have it. Get my earplugs in, and we'll see how this looks. I got 3/8 depth. I got 3/8 in on a 1/4 inch cut. So, this is the cut I made. It's a nice groove. It could probably went less than 3/8 deep, but it's a good cut. So I'm going to test it with a 1/4 inch MDF. I have plywood outside, and as you can see, I get a nice tight fit. It doesn't fall, and that's what you want. You want it so that it's a snug fit. You don't need glue to hold that in, and that's what I'm looking for my cut. So we're gonna cut my pieces and go from there. So I got to do my 2 sides. And I put a mark on where I want to cut, so I want to cut that one like that. I got this one where I want to cut it, and then I got my face. I got a mark, so I want that down and that towards the fence. So air plugs, Alright, so I got my jig back, drill set up. So there you have it. Again, pocket hole jig comes in handy. I did modify mine with a quick clamp, which I tell you makes a world of difference. As far as ease goes, I don't have to adjust the clamp every time. I just push the holder and then it clamps in place. It's worth the extra 30 bucks I believe I paid. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get my piece of plywood and see about cutting that I need, I gotta make a 1/2 inch gap on the side and then screw that together. So I want to cut my plywood, and I know you can't really see what I'm doing. Here we go. So that it's going to go just like that, and everybody be happy. So I guess what I can do is I know that that and that I can screw together, and then I can center that in place. Okay. I like this idea. Let's see. Not quite a 1/4 inch. Okay. But I'm going to start with that. So I will be back. Okay, so I'm going to bring you down, show you what I'm doing. I got these nice brackets. I got different sizes. They're right angle. They're for glue ups to keep everything square. So I got it clamped to my side rail and my back rail. I'm going to clamp it here. I'm going to glue one end, bring it in, make sure it's nice and flush. I'll clamp it, put my 2 screws in, and then screw it together. And that should give me a nice square drawer. It's important that the drawer be square. If it's crooked either way, it's not going to open and close properly. Everything has to be precise. So find my rag again. Put a little glue on the end of this. Healthy amount. It's going to get absorbed. A couple screws in the pocket holes. And then clamp it in place. Now you got to try to get your clamp so that it's not in the way, and you want a nice flush now. My clamp's in the way, so I'm going to back it up a little. See if that makes a difference. Looks like I'm going to have to go with, here we go. Like I said, it's never have too many clamps. Now I got it flush on the end. If I can't get my drill in there, which I can't, which is fine, you just got to be careful. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab another clamp and clamp from end to end. That way it's not going to pull apart on me. And the difficulty, it moved on me. So, it looks like I'm going to have to clamp this . Okay, so we got that. We're going to clamp back here again. Nope. What we're going to want to do is I'm going to put a clamp on the bottom. So it's not in my way. All right, so I got it clamped that way, clamped that way. It's still glued. It's right where I want it. I'm going to use a longer, if I have one. Let's see if I got I do. So, that way I have a longer reach. And I'll start with the bottom one. Nope. Helps if I go. Okay, I'm going to release the bottom because I couldn't get the screw in all the way. There we go. Release the clamp. Release the clamp. And here is the how difficult it can be to get it just right. So, I want to do the same on the other side. Now there's another way of doing it, which I may try. Let's see, I'm gonna. There we go. All right, good morning. Another day in the Jeepa woodworking shop. I'll show you what I'm working on today. I got my tabletop. This is the bottom. I'm going to be coating it. I got to clean it. I'm going to clean it with some Rubio Monocoat wood cleaner. Just wipe it down and then let it dry. I'm going to be putting some stone coat countertop epoxy, heat resistant. I'm going to mix 1 ounce per square foot. So I need roughly 4 ounces. It's 15 by 33. So we're going to coat this just to seal the underside of the wood. Then I'm going to let that dry. I'll take out any air bubbles because it interacts with the wood and releases air. So we'll just torch it about 8 inches above and just briefly touch it with a flame to break up the bubbles. This is to seal the bottom side so that the wood will be sealed from top to bottom. I'll flip it over and I'll do the same thing, give a seal coat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some colors and put a flood coat on there. I'll pour different colors and mix it up and try to get a pattern. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to go with earth tones, the subtle rust colors with maybe a little greens in it, and a little bit of red. The softer colors to try to get a pattern and see how it turns out. That way it gives it, I'll have that resin hardness on the surface, plus it'll give it a pattern to give it some, pizzazz, if you will. This is all fun. It's good stuff, so let's get moving. This resin has a lot quicker drying time, so I can do this today. I can get all my coats on in one day, as opposed to a deep resin pour where I need to allow it to set for 24 hours before I can put a second coat, since I'm just doing surfacing. So, I'm just going to take a cotton rag. And it's just a wood cleaner, just to get the fine dust off of the wood. This side will not be seen at all. So I just want to clean it. I've already sanded this. Bottom side doesn't have to be perfect since it will be hidden. But I do want to seal it. You want your wood not to be sealed on the face where you can see it all, but and have the backside breathing. It'll cause the wood to warp over time and crack because moisture will be escaping from one side only. This way I'm going to seal the wood completely, and if there's moisture release, it'll release evenly throughout the piece and dry over time. This wood is dry. It is very dry. It's got a very low moisture content, but still, wood reacts with humidity in the air, so it does absorb moisture and release moisture depending on how dry the air is at the time. So we're going to let this dry for a few minutes, and I'm going to mix up some epoxy, and I'm going to apply it evenly across, and it will self-settle, self-level. I have this on blocks so that everything is it can drip down, which I'll clean. I'll wipe with my hands and clean afterwards. I'm just going to adjust my blocks. That way I have better overhang that won't interfere. Okay, so